And rough. Hey, my name is Mick Hayes. That's Mick like Mick Jagger, and Hayes like Isaac Hayes. I am the internet's most invisible guitarist and singer, a man who hesitates to call himself a songwriter, and I say that because I've met some songwriters, and what I do is very different. I write songs to get things off my chest. That's my story, and for today, I'm sticking to it, and yesterday, and probably the day after. Today, we're going to deal with the topic of never meet your heroes. Did you hear that? Did you hear? Did you hear my heart drop? Never meet your heroes. This is going to be an interesting one. So pour yourself a strong cup of black coffee. Pour yourself a neat whiskey for me. Make it a double, because we're going to deal with the 2013 Stevie Wonder incident. Now, this is a story that I've been asked to tell in other interviews, kind of off camera and off the air, and I've never told the story until now. It's been 11 years. I have an affinity with the number 11, therefore, it's time to tell it. And today is your day to hear me cry through the microphone into your ears. So, let's go back. On Saturday, January 26th, I had the infamous Stevie Wonder incident. Okay, so we've got to talk about, first of all, the NAMM show. The NAMM show stands for the National Association of Music Merchants. Okay, that is a annual conference, so to speak, that happens in Anaheim, California. Usually the last weekend of January. It's a grueling 12 to 14 hour days. Better yet, it's 4 grueling 12 to 14 hour days on your feet with a cacophony of sound in a convention center setting centered around new product release. But it's really mostly about the hang. There's been a number of years that I haven't attended now, and believe me, the FOMO hits real hard when all the pictures start coming up on the internet and all the videos make their way to YouTube. So I'm definitely going to have to go next year, but I haven't gone in a number of years. This isn't the reason why, but let me continue to give you the setting. Okay, so there's basically a midway, for a lack of a better term, but I know that you can picture that in your mind, and we're standing in Anaheim, California, looking at the midway, and on one side of you is the Hilton, and on the other side of you is a Marriott, and then directly in front of you is the Anaheim Convention Center, which is over 1 million square feet, including a number of different buildings and such. Now, the NAMM show is so big, it fills that conference center, and it spills out into conference rooms in the hotels. It's massive. You physically cannot see all of it. It's impossible. You have to make schedule. You have to make appointments for the things that you're interested in. Should that be the case? Hopefully that's the case. But just to give you an idea of this, how intense it is and how committed I was. So when my wife and I were married in November of 2011, we went on our honeymoon. Well, we enjoyed Thanksgiving. We went on our honeymoon. Then we went through, Christmas and New Year's. And then literally I hopped a plane to Anaheim, California for, at that time, I believe it was 6 or 7 days. That set the pace for our marriage right off the bat. She now knew that she had married a traveling musician, so to speak. But I think it was the second year that I was there, and there used to be footage of this, although it was taken by a former friend of mine who has since removed the video online. Thanks a lot. No names mentioned. But there was a performance of me there in 2012. Now, we had played that year in kind of we'll call it a food commons area. I could say it was still a really nice stage, great backdrop and all that stuff, but what you couldn't see behind the camera was basically tables where there was food being served and like a cafeteria, but it's not quite what you should picture, but I think you get the idea. Okay, let's move on. So the first year we played there, we did our best. There was no rehearsals. I used all California musicians. I just sent them, enough songs to fill a 30-minute set and plug and play. But the next year that we were asked to perform again, they told us that because we made such a good showing, so to speak, that they were going to have us perform on the Hilton stage. So, and again, let me help you with some of the visual of this. So there's a main stage at the Hilton, a main stage at the Marriott, which is a little smaller, a little more quaint, great for acoustic acts and such. Although I have had some really great jams on that stage. And here's the first of many name drops, but please don't take it this way. But I've actually played on the Marriott stage with my friend Larry Mitchell and Vernon Reed from Living Color, which is where we first got to know each other. But back to them telling us that we're going to play at the Hilton, I was really excited about it. And I told the guys in my band at that time that I had this opportunity for us and that I wasn't going to just go through it the way I did the year prior because we had, made it by the skin of our teeth. So immediately we dove into rehearsals. Now, mind you, the Hilton stage, most folks like us, so to speak, can't afford to stay at the Hilton because, of course, hotels inflate rates when any conference is in town. But we knew that the hang was going to be peppered with some really heavy names, and we're going to get into those in just a bit. But we went right into rehearsals, and we were rehearsing actually at my church because that was an available stage on, I think it was a Monday or night, could have been a Wednesday. I know it wasn't a Tuesday because we had a women's conference every Tuesday. We went into rehearsals. And we decided that we were going to open the set with my song, Deja Vu. And we were going to open it in harmony, in 4-part harmony, a cappella, or Acapulco, excuse me. That's what Quincy Jones says, and we always made that joke. But we're going to open up the set a cappella. So that was a kind of a good way of kind of going, psst, over here. Because we know that the room is going to be just full of people drinking and socializing. And if we took the stage a cappella, bam, that was the way to hit them over the head. So the opening lines are in unison, and then it breaks off into 4-part harmony. We had that luxury at that time. Everybody in the band sang. And I have a cute clip here I'm just going to include for fun of one of those rehearsals.
We're recording, and phone, this should be on your phone too. Oh, it's based on my phone. He's terrible.
1, 2, 3. And you called to me after I said goodbye. Ran up to kiss me without a reason why. All of these feelings so free and so new. It all started out as deja vu.
You get that part right here. Hold on.
I'll start with a little deja vu to let you know you're in the right place.
Oh, sorry.
A sudden rush of a dream that came true. Brought a childish smile to your face. See, we got out what we needed to say. We've been together ever since that day. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I lost my spot. That was so good. Yeah. Okay, so
That's the part with the F in there.
yeah. And you called to me after I said goodbye. Ran up to kiss me without a reason why. All of these feelings so free and so new. It all started out as deja vu.
So as you can see, we were having a lot of fun. That band, as far as I know, I'm speaking on behalf of 3 other people, we loved each other. That was it. We spent a lot of time together, and we rehearsed. We had the intention of making it. We weren't just playing, local bar gigs and such within a 3-hour span. That band had a lot of momentum, and I mean that. But this gig, for instance, in California at the Hilton is for exposure. It is not a paid gig. It's a showcase. And I let everybody know that right up front. I believe in doing business very clear, although I've been kind of I've been called out on a couple of things. It's like, no, man, I will open the books with you and show you everything. And, there's a little slight bit of bitterness there on my part because I've always been really upfront about that kind of stuff. Really, really upfront. If the gig pays lousy, the gig pays lousy. That's the way it goes. I'm just letting you guys know that I'm paying myself this. I'm paying you this, you this, you this, you this, and whatever, expenses go into it come out of the rest. But anyways, I let them know that this gig was completely free. We're not getting paid, but it's a great opportunity, and here's my idea. So I decided, along with them, to take a month's worth of work in some really unusual scenarios, places that usually didn't even have bands. It's like we just told them, like, we'll set up over here and kind of do our thing if you'll allow us to do so. And here's the money we're asking for. And we took all that money for a whole month. And of course, we put out tip jars and let everybody know what we were doing and why we were raising this money. And we put all that money on basically a burner credit card. That way we would just have that, like, this is the band's credit card. And anytime we need something, you need Tylenol in the airport, here's the card. You want to get, your shoes got wet, and you need new shoelaces, whatever it is, all that stuff, new cables, all that came off of that card. We raised a decent amount of money to get us there, and enough money to obviously take care of us we were there, I think, for 6 days that time. So 4 days at the festival, a day of travel, and a day of travel, I think. Of course, hopefully somebody can correct me in the event that I'm wrong. But we had enough money at that point to do all those things. And of course, we had our own private and independent money. We're grown men here. So we are there. Okay. We got there. We're through TSA. A lot of fun there. Anyway, try going through TSA with guitars and all that stuff, man. It's not fun. My musician friends are agreeing and nodding their head right now. But we decided, like I said, to do this set, which was really, really, it was action packed, and I was proud of it. We had rehearsed it thoroughly. We were really ready to kind of take the stage. We got to the NAMM show Thursday morning, had a great time, did a lot of, again, connections and a lot of hangs. We did all day Friday. We hung out Friday night. Friday night, Tower of Power took the main stage, which was the midway stage, we'll call that. So, and again, I don't know if I mentioned that before. Let me just back up. There's a main stage in the midway. There's a stage at the Hilton and a stage at the Marriott. There's a lot of music. Like I said earlier, it's just a cacophony of music for 4 days. It's overkill. But they gave us Saturday night, I believe at 8 o'clock. It could have been 9 o'clock. It could have been 7 o'clock, but it was in that window. It wasn't any earlier. It was literally the perfect time slot, if you ask me. And most people would agree. But we get there. All day Thursday is great. All day Friday is great. Friday night, Tower of Power takes the stage, the main stage in the midway, and they were phenomenal. My favorite singer, who hadn't sang with them in years, was singing with them. We were just blown away. As a band, we were having a great time. Later that night, Snarky Puppy, which Mark Lettieri is a good friend of mine, and they were playing an off-site place, and we went and checked that out, and it was just so much fun, man. Everything we did was so much fun up to that. It really was starting to be a recipe for a great trip and a great night. So we went to NAMM all day Saturday, and of course, everybody you encounter, you tell them, as you've been doing for all day Thursday and all day Friday, your feet are killing you by now, okay? That you're playing tonight at the Hilton. Let's just say it was 8 o'clock, okay? So you're playing tonight at the Hilton at 8 o'clock. And, come on down and, give us some support and give us some feedback, whatever it may be. Now, we get to the stage that night for a line check. There's no sound check. There's nothing. This is literally this is war. This is a showcase scenario. So there was 5 bands on before you. There's 3 bands on after you, whatever it may be. If you can't hear anything, too bad. Deal with it. Push through it. It's only a 30-minute set. That's what you get. Okay. We got to the stage. We plug in. They tell us, okay, you guys are ready to go. Somebody introduced us, I believe, from the sound booth. They didn't come on stage, to my recollection, although I could be wrong. The lights come on. All 4 of us to the microphone, and we hit with that a cappella version of a cappella opening, I should say, of Deja Vu. And you could just see, and now this is from my perspective, but I've checked with the guys in the band over the years. I'm like, was I dreaming? And they're like, no, dude, we had the entire room at that point eating out of our hands. Okay. It was a phenomenal opening. I couldn't have asked for a better showstopper than to come out and just, and you called to me after I said goodbye, and just watch their faces. And then the drummer flute, Carl Johnson, kicks in that intro, and it is just like, it was, I think we could really feel the stage. We could feel the energy, but at the same time, the sound, the stage was wood. It was vibrating. It was really intense. And the lights were beautiful. Beautiful lighting definitely makes for a better performance. And I know my performer friends will agree. So we went into Deja Vu. We played a couple more songs now and again. We had planned out one original song in the 30-minute set. And that original song was just to let people know where we come from. And that song, of course, could have been nothing other than Bobby Caldwell's What You Won't Do. It's a song I've been doing for a number of years. My shows are almost synonymous with it. If you come to a show, you can almost guarantee that it's going to be in the set, okay? We played that song, and then we did a couple more songs, I think, and then we got to Those Three Words, which is off of my Segway album. Now, first thing I'll tell you is I introduce all my songs usually, especially if they're mine, because I'm proud of them, unless we have, segues and medleys kind of linked together. But I got on the stage on the microphone and I said, we're going to do my song, Those Three Words. Now, Stevie Wonder has a song with a very similar title. So I'm sure that we had grabbed his attention at that point. But what I should tell you is through the course of our set, we were already a little like, because first thing first, Steve Lukather was there from Toto. Brian Wilson was there from the Beach Boys, and a number of other celebrities that we had seen. So it was a pretty intense kind of showing. But we broke into Those Three Words, and which is a blues song. And that's where the full video was captured by Fuchs Audio, which was the amplifier company that I was using at that time. And you can see, and I got some, this is, kind of what we do every night back home in Buffalo. This is who we are, more or less. Aside from all the glitz and the glamour, we're a blues band at heart, and we dug into the song and sang out two verses. And I even, at one point, I had one of my Prince squeals, and I said over the microphone, it was really cute, "Would you tell Prince that I love him? He was still alive." Oh God, I wish that video would have got back to him at some point. But anyway, I digress. We were really on for that song too. Couple little moments, most of that stuff was like sound stuff, like we couldn't hear I couldn't hear any piano on my side of the stage at all. So we were kind of looking, a lot of IQs, head nods, winks, eyebrows, things of the sort. But I stepped away from the microphone to take my first lead, other than the intro. And that's when someone came over to the keyboard player, Tony, and he showed him a harmonica. And he kind of fingered him down to his level and said, "Stevie Wonder's in the back of the room and wants to come on stage and play with you guys." Tony, of course, said yes. Thank you, Tony. Tony told Richie, the bass player. Bass player comes over and tells me, and I'm maybe two bars into a guitar solo. And I looked over to my right, and it was as if Moses had parted the Red Sea. The crowd split in half, and walking towards me was Stevie Wonder and Stevie Wonder's bodyguard. It's crazy. First thing I'll tell you is Stevie Wonder is a head taller than I am, and I'm like 5'7", 5'8" on a good day, depending on if I've been adjusted. So little Stevie Wonder, as they referred to him, he's not little at all, dude. He's tall. He's quite tall. He's a full-size man, full-grown. But Stevie walks on stage, and you can see this on the video, but he puts his arms around me, and I know for a fact he said, "I love your songs," okay? Now, that blew my mind. This is a man with a number of Grammys. This is the last the last bastion of geniuses in his generation who's still with us today, okay? I mean, we're talking about, again, Paul McCartney, great. John Lennon, great. Stevie Wonder, great. Ray Charles. We're talking about real geniuses here, okay? And here's a man who just threw his arms around me and he said, "I love your songs." And I was like, did I just process what I just heard? Okay. Walks past me. He gets out to the front of the stage. He grabs a microphone. And if you're envisioning this, if you haven't seen the video before, he stands very still. We're on about bar 9 of 12. And he's standing very still. And then around bar 10, maybe 11, he starts to do the Stevie Wonder sway. And you're like, oh, like literally he just plants himself in the spot and then he finds his mood. He throws both of his elbows up while he's holding the microphone and drops the band back down on the next one and opens his mouth. And that voice you've been hearing in stores and restaurants and from the back seat coming through the AM radio, that voice that you've been listening to your entire life is now standing 24 inches away from you, coming out of the monitor. And he's ad-libbing blues lyrics over my song. You can say what you want about that, but your mind does weird things in that moment. And I throw my hands up to God. I was like, dude, what? And he just lays into the crowd and we became his backup band at that point. And so he does this crowd participation thing, and all our friends have moved now up to the front row and people in the back, and everyone's having a good time. And it's official. The Saturday night party at the NAMM show in the Hilton stage is with Mick Hayes and Stevie Wonder and the band from, little... who basically came up from nothing at this point. We were playing in a bar a couple of days ago. It's really, really, that part of the story still makes me smile. Okay. So Stevie does this crowd participation thing. Everybody goes crazy. And as he puts the microphone back in the microphone stand and kind of walks off, and I just blew a solo, literally not like it was my last, like it was my first of my new beginning. I don't even know where it came from. It was just pure fire. And we said, thank you we got through that song. Thank you very much. Good night. Obviously, we don't have any more time. We've been on stage at that point with Stevie Wonder for, I think, 15 minutes during that song. So the rest of our set was blown. But who would complain, And we go to walk off stage. There's, of course, a roar of applause. The place is packed. It's unbelievable. There's people hanging over the balcony watching us from the top floor. There's people standing on the escalator just watching us. It's really, really astounding, right? And we walk off stage, and the man who puts on the entire NAMM show is actually from my hometown. And he looks to me, to us, so any kind of fingers or gestures, so to speak, do one more. Now, again, there's a band waiting to get on stage right now. I feel the worst for them, because can you imagine trying to take the stage after all that? Whoever you were, I'm so sorry. It wasn't me. It was by God's design, I guess, at that point. That's all I'll say. But so we took the stage for one more. And of course, the applause just went insane without Stevie Wonder. Of course, I should make that clear. And we did our song Thankful, which I wrote about my darling wife, but the perfect song, the perfect opportunity. So as the song, goes into its ending, it's a hard cut ending. And I say on the microphone, folks, again, we're out here on our own dime. I got some CDs for sale. If anybody wants to come get them, we're just going to sell them right off of the stage, and the band leaves the stage. I'm trying to sell CDs from stage right. Okay. And the funny part is I'm literally getting, people are just taking CDs off the stack that's in my left arm. I'm trying to make change and not dump CDs on the floor. And people want them autographed and signed and stuff. And people are just taking them. I'm literally getting robbed here right now by musicians of all people who should know. But this is probably one of the greatest accomplishments I've been through. This is completely blowing my mind, you know? So we got off stage. I got off stage after that moment. And the guy grabs me. He says, Stevie wants to talk to you backstage. And I was like, no joke. Wow. Backstage wasn't really backstage. Okay, we're at a Hilton. There's not a stage. They made a stage. But in the what would be the restaurant area, they had it roped off, and that was the like kind of staging area. And by the time I had left the stage from trying to sell CDs, my band of 3 at that point, 3 other guys in the band, went in the back, and they were already hanging out with Stevie Wonder, and of course, you know, some of his entourage. And I walked in the room, and the guys in the band went, ah! And Stevie literally said, "Oh, there's Mick." And again, that does a thing to your head. You're like, does he know my speaking voice already, or is he just off of people's reactions? I have no idea. But that's kind of where the sad part of, well, not yet. No. This is still good. Okay. I'm sorry. I spoke out of turn. So we're all hugging and handshaking and high-fiving and thanking him for everything that he's ever done. And he kind of, he looks at the 4 of us and he says, I want to help you guys out. And that's, you know, in much better words, by the way. He's very well spoken. And he says, I'm going to do it because God says to bless. And like all the guys in the band just kind of looked at each other like, didn't he just say what I think he just said? Like, because it was crazy. Like, we're rehearsing at a church. We all played at a church. We're all churchy, you know, so to speak. And here we are thinking exactly what you're thinking, you know. And we're like just blown away. So when we take a couple pictures with him, and I'm not even sure how long of that it was definitely an hour we spent with him easily. And then he takes my card and he takes my information, and I kind of made it a point to say, well, how do I get in touch with you? And he kind of pokes me in the chest, and he says, when I call you, don't put anybody in between us. And I was not under a management contract. I told him, I said, Stevie, I have nobody to put in between us. It's going to be you and me. I said, if I get back to Buffalo on Tuesday and you call me and say, get out here Wednesday morning, I live 4 miles from the airport. I got a credit card with lots of room on it. I'll be here. And we talked a little bit more, and he said it one more time. And he literally said, I'm going to introduce you to my people at Universal, which is, you know, Stevie was on Motown. Motown is now owned by Universal Music Group, or UMG. He said, I'm going to introduce you to people at Universal. Don't put anybody in between us when I call you. I said, you've got nobody. I've got nobody to put in between us. So we hopped on our public transportation back to our budget hotel room, which I guess I should have told you, we stayed over a mile away on that trip, and most trips. We could, like I said, we couldn't afford to stay at the Hilton. We took public transportation from our hotel, which dropped us off at Disney, and we had to walk from Disney to the Anaheim Convention Center. But we left that night and took public transportation almost as if we were just riding high, man. We ate at Denny's with our buddy Pastor Jimmy Smith. And we were really riding high. We went to the NAMM show the next day, which of course is the last day. And as we walked through the hallways, and we would encounter people who were there that night, and they would, you know, of course, say nice things. And then companies that had been there were, you know, they were giving us stuff left and right, you know, product. And by the way, I don't say that to brag, but moreover to tell you that that's kind of how that happens. And it's really freaking sad. It's like, oh, so now I'm somebody and you give me something for free. Yesterday, you know, I couldn't, but that's a whole nother podcasty episode. Anyways, so we came home, and this is where, you know, things start to get a little sad. So that was 2013. I told the guys in the band, I go, guys, we don't want to book too much. This is January. we don't want to book too much, and we can book out a really busy summer in Western New York, but I don't want to book too much, because if Stevie says, come on out to California for 2 months and we're going to record a new record, the last thing I'm going to do is cancel a bunch of, venues that have, taken care of us for, 5 years plus. Now, you're probably thinking, why would I be worried about that? But I'll tell you that there are some venues, which will, remain nameless, that take a strange attitude with that. Even if I told them, hey, listen, you can say, or even better yet, here's what I'll say. Stevie Wonder called us and is flying us out to California to produce and help us record a new record. I'm so sorry we can't be there for your patio bash. And they'll be like, after all we did for you. You'd be surprised. That's really a thing. There would be some people that would just and again, especially with the cancel culture that is now, I can't even imagine what would happen now if you were to cancel a whole summer full of dates because, you got a great opportunity. People still take an attitude with it. I'll guarantee it. Anyways, I told the guys in the band, I go, I'm not going to book much. And they said, well, is it okay if we work with other people? And I said, absolutely, man, absolutely. But I didn't book much because I was waiting for that call. And then 3 months went by. And then 6 months went by. And then as we started approaching the 10th month, I started thinking to myself that, did this really just happen to me? Again, that level of genius, somebody on that level. Well, he's so busy. He's so busy. You know what? I'm just going to try to track him down. And I did so. I hopped on LinkedIn. I knew what his personal assistant's name was. Tried to find him, couldn't find him. Found one of his daughters. Contacted her, paid to contact her. Didn't hear anything back. Contacted his management. Didn't hear anything back. I did all I could. Aside from stalker stuff, tracking him down. Couldn't wait. I prayed about it. I waited. And next thing I knew, I didn't have a band. And we didn't have any gigs. And I was kind of back to doing it, the old-fashioned way. So I tried to get us another opportunity to perform at NAMM the following year. And I couldn't get us that opportunity. I mean, let that sit on your spirit for a second. Last year, as far as I'm concerned, and a number of other people that were there, last year, we were the in night to be there. We were the good time that everybody had. But this year, you won't have us back. And of course, they always spout off some BS about we got to give other people a chance. And, So I told the guys in the band, I go, let's find a way to get us all back out there again. And again, I drummed up the same band and we all went out there again on our own dime with no gig, no reason to be there other than to hopefully track down Stevie Wonder. So unfortunately, that trip, the second trip in 2014, wasn't for fun. That was now a mission. And it's sad because I didn't get to hang out with some friends that I wanted to because I kind of just lingered the hallways waiting for Stevie Wonder to show up. But I was over at the Hammond booth because I'm a Hammond endorser. I endorse their guitar speaker and some of they're also their guitar pedal. I was hanging out at the Hammond booth with Greg, who's unfortunately no longer with us, but also with Greg and Jimmy Smith again. Jimmy's in a lot of these stories. I love you, Jimmy. Somebody, you can see the commotion, out of the corner of your eye. You're like, that's always somebody. Who is it? Bernie Worrell or who is it? And sure enough, it was Stevie Wonder over at the Vintage Vibe booth. And Jimmy and I walked right over. And I didn't have anything rehearsed at all. I didn't. I was just going to kind of wing it. And when I finally pulled him aside, his personal assistant Lamar was there, and They knew exactly who I was, and I told Stevie, who remembered my name. I said, well, I've been waiting for you to call, man. I said, basically, we didn't book any work, and I don't want you to take that the wrong way, but, we've been waiting for you to call. And that's when he said to me, when I call you, don't put anybody in between us. And that's when I knew I accepted a music industry equivalent of a pickup line in a bar. I put all my hope in faith and dreams in something that he potentially says to just about everybody. Now, again, I don't know what his intention was. Did he just want the attention that night? Did he want to hijack the stage and just be a part of it? Did he really mean that he liked my music? I have no idea. But as he was trying to walk away, I asked again for his phone number. I said, can I get your number? Look, I understand you're a very, very busy person, probably get pulled 100 different ways. But I promise you I'm not a nut job. If you give me your phone number, I'll call you. Don't make me name drop the celebrities that I have their phone numbers. At this point, please, just like you offered your help. And he said, when I call you, we'll call you. When I call you, don't put anybody in between us. And again, it sat there and I looked at Jimmy, and I remember Jimmy looking at me, and it was kind of this like overwhelming disappointment. Later that day, I caught up with the guys in the band, and I told them exactly what had happened. And they don't make alcohol strong enough for a moment like that. They don't. That's one of the things that they don't teach you about when you're trying to be in the music industry. And that was 2014. Now, the really sad part of it, because now this is January of 2014, later that year, as a matter of fact, it was August of 2014, my wife, who was kind of helping me get through all of that and watching me lick my wounds and come back to writing and recording and things of the sort, and realizing that, one of your heroes is actually, man, whatever. He's a blowhard. It's been 11 years he never called. If he calls tomorrow, I'll probably hang up, to tell you the truth. But anyway, my wife says Toto and Michael McDonald are coming to town. And man, I love both. I've always loved Michael McDonald, and I've always loved Toto. My favorite Toto 4 story is that was another one of those Columbia House RCA Record Club things that my parents didn't fill out the right way, or they didn't send it back in time, and I ended up with a cassette tape of Toto 4, and I think I know the whole album, note for note, word for word. That's not entirely true. I'm just saying it for effect. But she tells me that Toto and Michael McDonald are touring together and they're coming to our park. Do you want to go? I said, yeah. You know what? Yes. After all I've been through this year and the last, yes, I do. I want to go. So she goes online, gets us tickets. I contact a bunch of people now. Okay. The first I contact is John Gosnell, John is Steve Lukather's guitar tech. And I'm gonna, at this point, if I can get backstage, because I've played the stage at Art Park a number of times, if I can get backstage and meet Lukather, maybe I can jog his memory. I know he was there that night, but for the most part, we have a number of friends in common. Cool. Like, I just want to meet him. Everything everyone has told me is 100% true, and I want to find that out. The next person I contacted was my Fuchs amplifier rep, because Bernie Chiravelli, who's also a Fuchs endorser, is a guitar player in Michael McDonald's band, and it's high time I meet him too. So I'm going to meet 2 other people that I look up to, and if I'm lucky, I get to meet the rest of the guys in the band, and if I'm lucky, I get to meet Michael McDonald. So we go to the venue, we got a great seat. I talked to the bouncer, whom I know on a first name basis, because like I said, again, we played there, and he told me, you're coming backstage tonight. And I was like, yeah. He's like, just come and see me. You're all set. And, again, I got the 2 ins with 1 in with both band, and that's it, man. We're at the concert tonight. We're going backstage, and we're going all the way out in this. And I'm going to meet more of my heroes tonight. Michael McDonald, or Toto went on first, I should say. And they got about halfway through their set, and Michael McDonald comes out for Was it I'll be over, I'll get over you. I can't remember the name of the title of the song because I put myself on the spot now, but some people live their dreams, that one. And Michael comes out for his, backup on it, which is just, phenomenal. And the crowd goes crazy because he's out on stage early and all good feels, man. Everything's great. Michael comes out on stage and just kills it, man. Just a phenomenal musician. We've seen him, I think, 2 or 3 times now live, and just knocks it out, man. Everyone stands up for applause, and then they come out for an encore, and they do one song, and then they go into Superstition by Stevie Wonder. Both bands on stage playing Superstition. And I looked at my wife, and she saw that my face had been completely drained of all emotion. And she's like, "What?" And I said, "Let's go." I said, "Let's go beat traffic. I don't want to deal with the traffic at the Grand Island Bridge." And I said, I've learned never meet your heroes. And I guess that's where we arrive at the takeaway. That's a hard thing for me to say because it hasn't been 100% true. But why does it sting so much? Like, I literally can't listen to a Stevie Wonder song anymore. Like, I've sold all of his records in my collection. I've sold all of his CDs. I literally can't listen to his music. When it comes on in a store or a restaurant, it's pretty much nothing but F-bombs. That's it. It's sad because it's not that I thought that he had the key. He didn't have the magical key to just turn it on and make me, famous, because that's not what I'm after. And it's not that I'm necessarily after validation, because that's a whole nother conversation. I wasn't after validation. I kind of I say it all the time. It's like, I just want to be around people that know the struggle, that know that they've been through that struggle. Like, I can only have so many conversations with a guy that's complaining that he's got to take his, son to Little League, I'm sorry. And it's very true. And it doesn't mean I can't have a good friend who has a completely different lifestyle. It's just that when I sit down, at lunch with somebody, first of all, I want them to be available during the course of the day, because I am. And I want them to, give me something that they're having trouble with in the music industry, or something that's frustrating them, or perhaps they want me to introduce them to somebody, or whatever it is. Like, I want somebody who has the same struggles that I do. That's really my biggest thing, is I want friends in the industry. And again, if I didn't have to struggle through the course of it because somebody turned on opened a door for me, or even cracked open a window, that would be just that much better. And a part of me probably did want the validation. Like I said, I've walked around for the rest of my life, hearing Stevie say that he loved my songs. Now, whether that was just something he said or something he meant, neither of us, here today can comment on that, But that's why I say I hesitate to call myself a songwriter, because even the songs I wrote back then were just intended to get stuff off my chest. Deja Vu is exactly that. It's funny that I use that for that example. But the takeaway, I have to say, is beware of meeting your heroes, because it can go the other way. But most importantly is still never give up. And if they put anything on, on my headstone at this point, that would be that he never gave up. Again, I started at this full time in 2003. That means over 20 years at this point, exactly 21, of trying to get my name as close to household as I can. He's a household name. No, in most instances, they still refer to me as a local guy. Like I'm some kind of an era corn, like I'm grapes that grew out in the field. Which is why I kind of always correct people when I hear other people referring to world-class musicians that way, and it bothers me so much. It's like you can be somewhere just listening to somebody. It's just a truly world-class player who just never got the right incident, you know, or never got the right, opportunity and exposure. And it's like, no, that is a world-class player. He just prefers sleeping in his own bed every night, you know, whatever it may be. He's a world-class player. He just prefers, you know, sitting on the couch with the same woman next to him, or same, you know, husband next to her. You know, with their dog at their feet and the crackle of the fireplace after 8 o'clock. You know, there's just some people that the road just ain't for them. And a lot of my friends in Muscle Shoals, that was the case there too. Me, I'd love to see, like I said, see a door open, see a window open. I'd love to see the other side of the coin. I've never, you know, there's a Jackson Browne interview where he talks about having a kind of a one-on-one with his dad. And he says his dad told him, he said, my music took me a lot of great places. I was like, that's all I wanted, man. It's all I wanted. And I can still have it one day. But yeah, beware of meeting your heroes and never give up. Another story I remember, there was a musician back home that he was in a somewhat popular band that broke up. And when the band broke up, he said, that's it, I'm going out on top. And literally, like, when I heard that, I was like, spit my beer across the bar, laughing. I'm like, what? You're going out on top? That's it? That's where you gave up, huh? You gave up at, you know, late 40s, early 50s. Playing at, no, try harder. And if you don't want to try harder, I'll try harder for and with you. No, I don't give up. And the reason why I don't give up is, I've said it before, it's not that stupid, you know, that old, was it a Far Side drawing of, you know, the guy who's like mining and he's, you know, this close to a diamond, you know, and he gives up and walks away. That's not it. That's not why I'm giving up, or not why I keep going, I should say. Why do I keep going? I keep going because it's who I am. It's what I do. You don't stop, you know. There is a time to retire. Don't get me wrong, you know. But this is a little better than, this industry, so to speak, is a little bit better than, you know, like, so, let's say professional sports. Okay. You know, my body has a longer life expectancy. I'll be able to sing into my 70s, God willing. And then I will retire. But yeah. So if there's anything that I haven't covered, wow, this one's really long and I apologize. If there's anything that I haven't covered, forgive me. If you have any questions, please leave it below in the comments. If you have an idea or a story that you've heard that you want me to clear up, please just mention it. I will. I'd love to. I haven't gotten much feedback on these, but the feedback that I have gotten, you know, from people, thank you so much. But I'm definitely kind of here to purge. And if there's something that you're interested in, go ahead and let me know. But as always, I hope that this helps us both, and I hope that it brings us closer together. My name is Mick Hayes, and I continue to be the internet's most invisible.